Hey, it's Bill, and you're tuned into episode number 86 of Three Questions and a Song, where the title of the podcast tells everything except when it doesn't. It will not be three questions. This is episode number 86. You can find us on buildascene.com. And with me tonight from Harmony Dreamers is Byron Scott. What's up, Byron?
Hey, good to be here, man. How are you out there?
I'm good. I am.
You're in Pittsburgh, right? Or area?
So I'm about 45 minutes north of Pittsburgh.
North. All
I'm
right.
about 10 minutes from Michael Stover, but I've never met him.
Yeah. Is that right? No way.
Yeah,
Hey, I got a question for you. Okay.
good.
You're from the Pittsburgh area, and I know you are big into the live scene. Have you ever heard of a band called Three Brick Shy?
Ooh, it's
No. Okay. Not friends
I
of
haven't.
yours anyway. Okay. Friend of mine's in that. And I don't even know if they're still together, but they did wineries and all sorts of things around there. But for years and had an album. But I just thought this by chance you might know my buddy out there. But that's all right.
I
But you
mean,
know Michael,
I do know
even though you
Michael.
even though you never met him in person.
So Michael and I met through Xander Demos, who is a let me think how I want to describe him. He's a phenomenal guitar player. He's a shredder.
I see.
And Michael was representing him. He was the first person from MTS that I interviewed. And
Mm.
now Michael's my go-to if I'm getting to the point where my list is a little short on who I'm scheduling. I send him a message. I'm like, who do you have for me, Michael? And he was like, let's do him. I said, okay, let's do it.
All right, Mike, the man. He's a great guy. I met him kind of the last minute, and he's really got a great system going. That's all I'll say is that for promoting, and that's of all the steps that it takes to put out an album or a single. A lot of them have gotten easier now in the digital age, but the promoting is still an endless thing. And Michael has got it wired down to helping out independent artists, like you. And so, yeah, I saw a lot of stuff you do as well to help independent artists for a
I
long
have
time, right?
a big list.
I know you
Yeah,
do.
I started.
Websites.
My first website I did was in 1996, so I've been at this for a while, and I'm
Wow,
still the two members of that band are I'm like I still do a lot of work with them.
really?
Um, they actually do a benefit concert here called Rock for Life concert.
Yes.
It's a series of concerts in the summer and into the early fall. They have outdoor concerts, and then they have some
Right.
indoor ones, and they raise money for children who are fighting deadly diseases.
Oh, nice.
So that's since it came up, it's rockforlifeconcert.com,
Hmm.
and I do that website.
Oh,
Um,
you do, huh?
and then Matt, who's the drummer of Matt, if you're from the Pittsburgh area and somebody says, "Oh, you know Matt from," and then you can pretty much insert any band name, and they're all going to go, "Oh yeah, I know him," because he's played in so many bands. I think
Yeah.
he's in 6 or 7 right now.
He's a drummer.
Yes,
Yeah, a drummer. Yeah. Okay.
and that's what he does. I asked him one time. I was like, "How are you in so many bands?" He goes, "Because that's what I do. I don't. That's my job now." So
There's a lot of that in big cities. In Seattle, there are a lot of guys that hop around from, and if they read, that's even better. Sometimes it's tough on the band leaders though, because you get these guys and you got all these harmonies worked out, and then you say, "Hey, I got this gig. Oh, I'm booked that night, man. Sorry.
yeah,
But if he doesn't sing, he can play anything. So that's great. Matt, I'll ask Randy, my friend, if he knows Matt.
yeah.
Yeah,
He's
and I
in.
know you do photography and promoting bands and
We're we're
live
in the
shows.
we're in the process of working out a deal with a local venue. Um, Man, this is the first time we can talk about this. I don't know if I want to put it out there. So there's
Well, it's up to
first
you.
First Angel Media, which is a local media company that I'm vice president of. The president and owner and I are in contact with a local venue that I've been doing some website and social media work for. And we're probably going to start a series either once a month or every other month where it's going to be First Angel Media and Build the Scene present, and then it'll be a show at that venue. But I don't want to throw the venue name out yet.
Live show.
Yeah. So a
excellent.
little bit of show promoting is probably coming early in 2023. And
now, did you come from a musical family, musical background?
So my mom was in a band.
Really?
She was in a church band. It was
Sure.
basically my mom is one of 11 kids, and pretty much everybody in the family was in that band.
Wow.
She sang and played the oh, why am I going to completely blank on it? Wow. What? I can't. This is so. When I'm going to give you the motion, and you're going to laugh that I can't remember this instrument name.
Trombone?
No. It jingles.
Jingle bell. I don't. Tambourine.
Tambourine. Thank you.
Tambourine.
I cannot believe. Listen, I'm going to point out again that I was teaching today.
Oh yeah. Well, I understand.
Yeah,
it happens.
She was the lead singer, and she played the tambourine. My uncles all played bass and guitar and drums, and it was. I didn't get to witness it, but to this day she can still sing, even though she'll tell you she can't.
And then what about you?
I cannot sing anything to the point that. Well, that's not true. The song "Sound of Silence," the Disturbed cover.
Oh yeah.
I can kind of sing that because it's so deep.
Oh really?
But after that, if I'm singing, my kids tell me to stop. That song that I'm allowed to sing, nothing else. And you
might like. I'm gonna a little plug. You might like our album because I used to try to sing high all my life in rock bands, and then when I was working on cruise ships for 5 years, I had to do 5 sets by myself singing, and so my friend said just lower the songs till they're comfortable. And I started singing everything low, and I discovered, hey, guess what, ding dong, you're supposed to be singing low. And so on the album, I'm doing all these bass and lower, and I have 8 girl singers that are matched up to the songs, and so it's a lot of low vocals. So you're gonna like that. You can sing along without it, yeah, that song, "Sound of Silence," great song. Seems like at karaoke, everybody has their one song that they can do, at least. You got to have your song. Right?
I've done karaoke one time, and I sang La Bamba. And only because I was singing it as a duet with an exchange student from Spain. So I was really whispering and he was singing.
Following along.
But so my family-wise, my kids all play instruments and sing.
They do.
My daughters, Emmeline plays the flute. Bria plays the clarinet.
Twin daughters.
Yeah, they're twin daughters. They're 12.
What's their names?
Emmeline and Bria. They're different. And
Aiden, that's like okay. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, Aiden plays the trumpet. He also has taught himself how to play the fife. He can play the piano. He knows how to play harmonica. He knows a little bit of guitar. He has a drum pad that he plays with. And apparently his new band teacher is a 9th grader is trying to get him to switch to I can't think what it's called. It's basically a trumpet, but it plays at a different tone. It's it's not euphoria, but it sounds like euphoria.
I'm not familiar with that one right offhand, but it's a trumpet-like thing. Okay.
Yeah.
He sounds like he has an ear for music to play all of those things. He's got a natural talent for sure.
He's also really good at math, and math and music go hand in hand.
Yeah, they do.
So,
wow.
And I sound like I'm bragging on my kids, but he's in 9th grade, and he's the brass section leader already.
Wow.
He's playing in a junior stage band where he is the first seat. He was 3rd seat last year as an 8th grader.
Wow. No,
So
that's when I was his age, I played a lot of instruments by ear as well as the ones that and I took some lessons, but I never was as good at reading as him. But yeah, some people just have a natural ear, I think, for picking things up for some reason. And it sounds like he definitely has that,
yeah,
right?
and
Wow. He's got
the
a dad
girls,
that'll promote him too.
yeah.
So that's really, that,
Listen, I am making a website for one of the bands that he's in.
of course you are. Of course you are. And taking their promo picture. Who took their
I
promo
did.
picture?
I
Let me
did do that.
see now, you know, a lot of people that I met over the years who were successful, and they're all different levels of success in the music business. If you're full time or playing on the cruise ships. What I noticed is a lot of people who stuck with it, I'll say, and didn't quit came from a musical family of some sort. And if their father knew, hey man, make a promo picture, duh. But I didn't know that.
Mhm.
When I was a kid, none of my bandmates came from a musical family when I was that age and said, yeah, go, we got a business card, back
Yeah.
then. But so he has a big advantage. His father could promote him. Just,
Well,
but he's good in school too, huh?
oh,
So,
he's taking all honors classes. So,
wow.
yes.
Oh my goodness. Wow. That's amazing. That's
And
terrific.
his sisters are currently in, well, they just left musical rehearsal. That's why they're not here. Mom picked them up.
And they're
And
twins.
they are. They
Uh,
have both singing and speaking parts in the musical. Um,
wow.
they're taking vocal lessons. So, all three of them are in the junior choir at church. They all play the bell chimes at church. Aiden sometimes plays his trumpet along with them. So
Wow.
it's definitely, there's always music going on
That's
here.
always fun. Wow. Okay, before I forget, you got to tell Bria that there's a song called Sophie and Pearl. It's about two kittens on there, clarinet all the way through. And the guy that plays clarinet on that, Ian Smith from London, he's amazing. So, clarinet. So, the Bria, got to check that song out. Yeah, another plug. All right. So, what's up?
So let's talk about you a little bit. We've been talking about me.
That's my favorite subject. Yeah, well, I've listened to some of your shows a bit, and I knew some things about you. I knew you were a teacher and so forth, and that you've been in music in many different aspects for a long time. But I was just curious, a few things. So, yeah, well, what would you like to know?
Well, let's start with a cliche question.
Okay.
It'll be an easy one.
All
So
right.
how did you come up with Harmony Dreamers?
Someone told me that, well, of course, you want to get a website domain name and you want to get your name on all these platforms, right? So you can't have something too simple, because it's
You want it
taken.
to be
So,
memorable.
and memorable. So a friend of mine said, well, you combine words that don't normally go together. That was his. So there's a little clue for somebody trying to do that. And I went through a few ideas, but the idea of harmony, I guess, came together just because I love vocal harmonies for one thing, and the word dreamers, that could mean several things, but the harmony dreamers is also about harmony in the world. I know that sounds cliche, but that's true. That's what the basis of the album, the concept of the whole album is global connection thing, and so just combining two words and harmony dreamers just felt like wow, that's exactly. And it's not only that. I thought the people who will like my music because I'm such a lyric person and I'm into this positive message thing and everything, that people who will like that, they like also harmony in the world, And so it's
Mhm.
about the listeners as well to me, so that's where the name came from.
Um sorry.
That's quite all right. I might do the same. And so thank you.
um that's probably the easiest question I'm going to ask tonight.
Okay. All right.
So now we're going to I kind of tipped you off on this one, so I'll ask it first.
All right.
Um if I was driving your tour bus, what would the soundtrack of the tour be? So what are we going to listen to in between tour stops?
I love so many types of music, but I'll just start naming some people who were influences of mine. I'll say we have a playlist, okay? And there were so many influences throughout time, but I'll say there's a Jan Hammer, keyboard player who the Miami Vice soundtrack, the original Miami Vice, people know him from that, but he played with Jeff Beck and dozens of people. He has a new album out now, as a matter of fact, called Seasons Part Two, I think. But Jan Hammer was my favorite musician, and he expanded my knowledge of chord structure, studying him, and he made me take up guitar synthesizer, which is one of my main instruments, just because I loved his synth sounds. I play guitar, but I wanted to have those sounds at my disposal. So I would have some Jan Hammer on there for sure. Okay, I would have some Jeff Beck with Jan Hammer, Tommy Bolin, if anyone's heard of him, guitar player that was with so many people, and then maybe a Van Halen song or two, and some rocking out stuff. And then I love melodic things, man. I might have a Dave Clark Five song on there, and Beatles song, and gosh, I have some humor on there because the title track has humor. I like to use humor once in a while in the lyrics when I can. It's not easy all the time. And so I have a song there by Joe Walsh that has some humor, and maybe even a Jerry Reed song. Uh, and some songs about love, peace, brotherhood. Everybody wants to live together. Why can't we live together? You know, that just came to my mind right away. Songs about, man, that's what inspired me when I was young. The Beatles and people singing about, come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together. Try to love one another right now. And by golly, I thought we were going to do it. I thought we were going to bring the world together with that music, man. And, but it had to help, I mean, a lot of open minded things came from our generation. So songs about love, peace, brotherhood. Oh, man. Favorite songs. Somebody named
Uh,
Automatic Man. Automatic Man was a band from the 70s with Pat Thrall, one of my favorite guitar players. I'll have some tunes on there. Maybe a Barbra Streisand song because
that that might be the first time she's been mentioned on one of my shows. But
she influenced
I get
my
it.
vocals. She influenced my vocals because I used to listen to her in movies, and I noticed she'd be singing so soft and tender, and then she would be belting something out. And I thought, wow, the dynamics of her voice. And so, oh man, oh, I just heard a song by Patsy Cline. It's called True Love, and it's about guardian angel. And the guy played it for me, and the vocal is mixed so out front on this song. I've never heard a voice that is that much. That's like you can hear these strings and a little drum thing in there. It's called True Love. So I think you go through favorite songs. There's an electronic guy named Davol, Davol. Oh man, I love his synthesizer sounds. So how about that for a playlist on the bus? And
All right, so first, the only Patsy Cline song that I can think of is "Walking After Midnight." Um,
didn't she do Crazy?
oh yeah, that's her too.
I'm
Yeah,
crazy. Everybody loves that song, right? But this song, True Love, man, it's an unbelievable song. So that's the playlist, I guess, on the bus for starters.
all right,
I
so
love
you mentioned movies, and that opens this question up, and you
that.
may have heard me ask this one. Um, so you're leaving a show, and
Hmm.
as you're packing up, you notice that there's a DeLorean sitting with its door open and a flux capacitor in it. And clearly you can borrow that time machine because you can bring it back to the exact same time. Um, so what period of time are you going to go to, and what band or musician are you going to hang out with while you're there?
Wow.
Because uh, Michael Keaton hung out with Chuck Berry's cousin
Really?
in the movie Back to the Future. That's where the question came from.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Can I pick two?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to pick two. First of all, even though I wasn't born, well, maybe right after I was born sometime, Chet Atkins, who, amazing guitar player and entertainer. He can sing too. He's got a great song about his father that is one of my favorite songs. But he was with A&R Records later, I believe it was, as a A&R person. And he helped so many people get started. The Everly Brothers, who influenced the Beatles, and the list goes on. But Chet Atkins was such a nice guy from everything I've seen. And he played with Jerry Reed. I've seen some videos where he and Jerry played together and they're joking around on stage. And they both are, trading solos. But Chet Atkins was actually, one thing I recall now, Bill, when I was about 4 years old, I guess, we had a record player with all these albums, and there was one called Chet Atkins at Home, and it had him on the album cover with a guitar in the studio with this rack of gear with a reel-to-reel tape recorder. It was kind of a black and white, old-looking photo. And I remember when I was a kid seeing him with his guitar and his equipment, and I think that was an influence on me. So then the other one I would choose, the second, let's see. Well, okay, the Muscle Shoals studio in Alabama?
Yes.
Okay, where if your listeners are not familiar with that, they recorded all of these artists, Aretha Franklin and Delbert McClinton, and on and on. I wish I could
And
think of all.
and Leonard Skinner sings about it.
Yeah, Leonard Skinner
Yeah.
sings about it, but it was in Alabama, and it was funny when there was racial tension in Alabama down the road. They had all these black artists coming in, and there was four guys that were the main. They're called the Swampers, who were the main musicians there, and they're on so many tracks, And I was traveling around in a road band back then, and so right place, right time. If I would have just stopped in there, on vacation one week and said, "Hey, what's going on?" Okay, so I guess his name was Rick, the guy that ran the studio. So I'm going to say him. Um, I don't recall his last name. Rick, the guy that started it, and he mixed everybody on his 8 channel. They made him do take after take, and so Muscle Shoals Studio, Rick would be the other guy if I go back.
So you made me think of an Aiden story that um I have a friend who does a lot of reselling. Like she buys things and she sells them, and like she'll go to estate sales and then she resells. Well,
Hmm.
I'm a huge Kiss fan, and she came across a Kiss single and an Ace Frehley single. And she's like, "Do you want them?" And I'm like, "Of course." I said, "But I
Are
don't
you
have a
kidding?
record. I don't have a record player." She's like, "Well, I have a friend who's selling one." So I buy this record player for $15. She gives me the singles, and it sits in my hallway for a year. And I finally said, "You know what? I don't know why I didn't listen to these." So I grabbed my kids, who had clearly never seen a record player, let alone heard one. And I was, I just got done telling you, Aiden's in all these honors classes, and you know, so I play the record player. He asked me how it works, and I start explaining about the needle vibrating on the grooves, and when I get done, and he looks at me, he goes, "Nope, it's magic," and he walks out of the room.
Wow.
So not his character. I lost it. I was like, I don't even know how to react to that.
Well, maybe it's the music lover in him, that it is music is magic, we take things for granted. You've seen it so many times, you know, but really, wow. Like you said, it's mathematical,
Yeah.
right? This separation of notes and the harmony. See, that's the thing. I think in the very early days of music, besides drumming, there were mono, just melodies, like the Catholic. What are they called now? I can't think of it. The guys
Uh,
that sing
the mo- the the monks that sing
monks.
the
Yeah, those guys.
what do they call that?
We know what it's called, the
Yeah,
something monks. those the
but they're
something,
chanting basically.
the chanting monks. Yes, and so it was single melodies, and then the harmonies. Is the notes. And so it is magical. It's a very magical thing. Yeah.
I let's see, what can I ask you next? Oh, this is fairly new question for my shows.
Oh boy,
It, and you have a DeLorean, so you can go back in time. Um,
again?
yep.
Oh
So
boy,
so you get
you
to
like
invite
this?
any four people in the history of the world to dinner. Who are you gonna invite to dinner, and what are you gonna talk to them about?
4 people? Wow, man, that's a tough one. I wish I had prepared for that. Okay, let's see. I don't know. I'm just gonna go back and say, man, I guess I'll have to go with some musical people. So I'll say, hang out with Louis Armstrong for a while first. I can go to different time zones, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, after we have all month or two partying with them, or something, I think. And then and then let's see. And I'll go back to the 20s. And I don't even know the name of the band, but I don't know, this just came to off the top of my head, and apologies if it's inappropriate. I don't think so. But I saw a movie from the 30s. It was an all-girl orchestra, about a 30-piece orchestra, and every one of them were virtuosos, and they danced, and they were all pretty and dressed nice and sang. And I'd like to go back and jam with them. I don't know. I don't know why. They wouldn't let me, probably. It's an all girl band, but maybe I could mix sound or run lights for them or something, or take pictures. I could go there, and maybe they want a website now, that they, in this new day and age, you can build them a website. So then that's the 20s. I got two more, huh?
Yep.
Well, I'd like to say somebody spiritual. I'm just going to pick this guy, Yogananda, Paramahansa Yogananda, who died in 50 something. No, I don't know when he died, but I studied meditation for years, kind of a hobby of mine. And he was one of the first people that I read his book, The Autobiography of a Yogi. And a friend of mine, bass player, gave it to me. And so, just for why not, you know, I read so much of his stuff over the years, and I studied a course when I first started through him through the mail. And so, Yogananda, uh, anybody normal that you can think of? Oh my goodness. Well, I'm single. I want to go find a wife and bring her back. So, wonder what Barbara Streisand's doing about 30 years ago. There you go. All right. That's a different answer, right? I'm going to go
It
back and
is.
hang with Barbara Streisand for a while. And yeah, all right. Fun question. What's the
Um,
best answer you've gotten on that one that you thought
you know what?
was most clever?
You're only the third person I've asked.
Okay. I might think of someone later. I should have done three, and I was going to hold one for just in case something pops into my mind later.
So
Elvis.
I do have a question I I ask a lot. Um,
Okay.
and I named it after the band that I first asked because they just had a phenomenal question or answer.
Who was
So
that?
it's called the um I- it has really been this kind of day. Diesel Beast. It took me a second. The band is Diesel Beast. They're out of Denton, Texas. And the question is, if you could play anywhere in the world with any band or musician, where would you play and who would you play with? And
Okay.
do you want to hear their answer, or do you want to give your answer and then I'll tell
Oh
you?
yeah. No, let's hear theirs
All
first.
right.
Or
So they want to play at Stonehenge with Dio.
good answer.
And of course, I said, well, maybe that's why Stonehenge is there, so that you can bring Dio back, so that you can do that.
Wow. Yeah. You never know. It's worth a try. A phone call, maybe.
Maybe you have to press the stones in a certain order.
Yeah. Or maybe once they start playing with Ronnie James Dio, something magical will happen. The aliens will. I don't know. Okay, so that's a pretty good answer. So I'm going to put together kind of a super group, and we're going to play at Red Rock in Colorado, an outdoor
That
place.
that is on my bucket list. I want to go there.
Oh yeah. Or there's a place called the Gorge, not too far from Seattle. Now I think I'll go to the Gorge because, and it's on the Colorado River, way up there, and it's driving distance to Seattle. It's quite it's the other side of the state. But when they have a good concert, people will come from there. And I lived in Seattle, still kind of my home base sometimes. And so yeah, the Gorge. And Jan Hammer would be playing keyboards, Jeff Beck on guitar. My best friend Larry from our group will be playing drums for one, but we're going to have multiple drummers because Graham Hopkins, the other guy that plays drums on the album, he'll be there. He'll be the other drummer and a couple of percussion players. And then we have four bass players plus myself on the album. And one of those guys, whoever's available, oh man, they're all amazing, these bass players. And so, well, I'll get one of them. And then, oh, all the girl singers, I'll invite all eight of them. So Jan Hammer, Jeff Beck, Pink Floyd. Let's see who from Pink Floyd. Let's invite them all. Roger Waters. Are they're still around, I think. And Ringo Starr. I gotta have Ringo Starr come. He always likes to play with all the all-star bands,
He
So,
does.
yeah, come on over, Ringo. Yeah, and then, if anybody else happens to be in the neighborhood, drop on in, man. Let's jam. Come on over, Bob Marley. I know that would be a miracle if that happened. But anyway, so there you go. The Gorge. Have you ever heard of the Gorge?
I have not.
Okay. All right.
I bet I'd interviewed. I'm really having trouble remembering things today.
That's all right. I do it all the time. Yeah.
His first name. He worked in. He was in Seattle during when grunge hit, and he worked on Pearl Jam's 10. He worked on a couple of the other big grunge bands. Why can't I think of his name? I interviewed him.
Too bad my drummer Larry isn't here. We were both in Seattle when we met in '99 in a band called the Hi-Fi Hippies. But Larry was a lifelong Seattle, and he was not only in bands from the time he's a kid, but then he ran sound for everybody, and he knows everybody. He's got like 1,000 promo pictures from Seattle bands and albums and everything, and he would know him. Whoever you're talking about, Larry would know him.
I'm cheating. I'm going to the website.
There you go. That's the way to do it.
So
Google.
He currently records out of a couple places here in Pittsburgh, but the place that I got put in touch with him from is called The Vault, and they have a Neve 8058 console there. Dave Hillis, that's his name.
Dave Hillis. Okay.
So here I'll read his bio from the website real quick. After signing his first record label deal at the tender age of 17 as a guitarist and writer with legendary thrash metal band Mace, Dave set his sights on the production and engineering side of the music business, where he was an engineer for legendary producer Rick Parashar at London Bridge Studios, Seattle, where he engineered Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, and Candlebox, to name a few.
Wow.
So I have this question that I ask on all of my shows.
All right.
That I thought I was finally gonna get a closure to when I asked him. So Dave Grohl or the Foo Fighters show up in my YouTube, the playing next list on the right.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what I search, there's going to be at least 4 videos that include them. I could search how to clean out a dishwasher, and it'll have the Foo Fighters or Dave Grohl. So I started asking this question because I started watching the videos, and inevitably, on almost every show, the Foo Fighters end up bringing somebody from the crowd up on the stage and having them play. So the question is, and I'll give you a chance to answer it, but I still got to give you some more backstory. The question is, who is your Dave Grohl? In other words, who would you want to play on stage with and play one of their originals? But because he kept showing up everywhere, I was like, well, I'm going to put him in more videos. So he's in every one of my podcast videos now because I asked the question. and I've tried to contact him because he literally is everywhere. Like he during the pandemic, he did a drum off with an 11-year-old. You know, like I'm like, he's surely going to talk to me, and he hasn't yet. So I
Not
thought.
yet.
So when I got Dave Hillis, I'm like, there is no way that Dave does not know Dave, and he didn't. He was like, we were in the same town and we played in the same places and we played shows together. He goes, but I never talked to him. I was like,
Are you are you Facebook friends with him or follower or anything like that?
I am.
Because
Not
sometimes
friends,
you know
but
the 6 degrees of separation. I don't know.
yeah,
I
I
I've been yeah. It's hard sometimes when people are so busy, and they get bombarded. I
yeah,
had that happen. Try to get
I've
a hold of somebody.
I've tagged him a bunch of times saying, "Hey Dave, when are you coming on the show?" And no response. I emailed his management; they didn't even reply. So I don't think it's gonna happen.
Well, no, I wouldn't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up yet, because you never know. It could happen. Like I'll just give you an example. Perhaps let's say you interview this band called Harmony Dreamers, and you're like only the first person ever in history that did a video interview. And then next thing you know, they're like Pink Floyd, and then you were the first guy. Everybody's gonna want
Making
to come on your
history.
everybody's gonna want to come on your show, man. At that point, Dave will be calling you. You'll be like, "Well, let me look at my schedule here, Dave. Well, how about next February 29th?" Uh, no, I'm just joking. Sorry, Dave. Give him. Come on. Well, he's busy. We understand. Like you're a
Definitely.
busy guy too. I'm sure you have people all wanting to come on your show sometimes, and it's hard to choose, right? I knew a guy that had a nightclub there I used to play all the time in Seattle, and he took me into his back room and he had these like 8 milk crates full of promo packs from bands that all wanted to play there. Poor guy. And then they're calling, "We're the best, man. We'll bring the followers in. Come on, man, hire us, hire us." And he only had so many slots.
Yep.
So, you know, yeah, it's tough being popular. That's the thing. All right. It's not easy, and you know that.
My daughter Bria asks me all the time if I'm famous because every time we go somewhere, someone knows me. And I was like, listen, all those people know me. That doesn't mean I know them.
Right.
You know? And
Yes.
she's like, what do you
Hey.
mean? I'm like, well, I met them, but that doesn't mean I remember.
Yeah. Sometimes they have to remind you and it comes back. Yeah. So many
Well, you
times.
figure
Yeah.
like, I've done 38 episodes of Pennsylvania Rock Show. There are a lot of people that have been on that show. You
Wow.
know, 86 of this one. I have a live show on xrpradio.co.uk, which is in Scotland. I've interacted with bands in there. It's by the way, my answer.
There's a lot of them. So listen, you guys, if Bill forgets your name, just remember he couldn't remember Dave Grohl's name for a while. So, don't feel
And
bad.
Dave Hillis.
All right. And his own daughter, something that happened. I don't know. I forgot now already. So give us a break, you know. Anyway.
All right, so the question
Ah,
is
yeah.
after that big long story.
That's all right.
So who would you want to go up on stage with and perform one of their originals?
Oh, yeah. That was the question, wasn't
Was
it? Who would I want to go up on stage and perform one of their originals? Wow, man, Dave Grohl. No, I'm just kidding. Then we'll come on your show right after that.
I have
Um,
had somebody answer that way.
I believe that. Uh, Jan Hammer. Jan Hammer, my favorite musician of all time, influenced me in so many ways. Um, love the guy, love his music, and yeah, Jan Hammer and his originals. He has so many. Okay, I guess I'll. You know what? Maybe I'll go with. He played with Neil Schon, the guitar player from Journey, on a couple of albums, and they had some originals. "Wasting Time" this cool song. So, all right, yeah, we'll go. I'll play with him and Neil Schon, and I'll play rhythm. I don't care. Or drums, and we'll switch. So, yeah, Jan Hammer.
Uh,
And that's that. And for other people who don't know who Jan Hammer is, it looks like Jan Hammer when it's spelled out. So if you want to look him up, amazing. musician, keyboard player.
Um, let's do one more question and then we'll talk about the song on the album, and then I'll ask you a couple more questions.
All right, sure.
Um, so what is a song that you didn't write that you wish you would have written? So something that has really, really influenced you.
What a Wonderful World, Louis Armstrong. Uh, I sang that so many times, different places, and people loved that song. And my mother, when it came out, suggested I should learn that song. God bless her. But that was actually people think that song is really old, but it was the movie Good Morning Vietnam with Robin Williams. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And I think
And
that
you're
was
like,
in 80.
good
Good
morning.
Morning Vietnam. Yes. And so that became a hit from that movie in, I believe it was 87, and it was on the charts. And so that would be it. I love that song.
Okay.
Beautiful.
All right. So let's talk about I come from Earth. Uh,
Okay.
what this is like. Sometimes when I ask this question, the person I ask is kind of young, like Joey Connor that you watched, and it doesn't really resonate. But I'm going to say it anyway. This is
All
your
right.
MTV or VH1 moment where you get to do a storytellers and tell me about that song.
Okay. We're talking about the title track because the album is called I Come From Earth. And that song came from personal experience, actually. Now, some songs come in minutes sometimes, but that came from personal experience. And what happened, like it says in the song, no matter where you go, when you first meet someone, they always ask two questions. What's your name and where are you from? So it wasn't a song at this point. And from personal experience, what happened when I met people and they asked me where I'm from, I said, Earth. And I noticed they laughed. See, you just laughed, right?
Yep.
Everyone laughed almost every time, right? And I like to write humorous songs. So I started thinking, And then, except for the one girl who it talks about in the bridge, when I asked her, she was working in a restaurant. And she asked me where I'm from. I said, Earth. She said, where is that? And so that's true. That's a true story. And so it came from personal experience. And then there were some influences. There's a part in there that says, is a question and answer. Hey, hey, where you come from? I come from Earth. Okay, so that question and answer, I was inspired by many songs that had humor throughout time, but there was one by Warren Zevon called Surfer Girl, and it had a question and answer thing. There's a surfer girl I've been in love with a long, long time. What's her name? I can't tell you. Oh, and it made me laugh, just like, see, you're laughing. And so the question and answer thing came from that. And then, so it took a few years. It started coming together last summer at my drummer and old bandmate from Seattle, Larry Draglin's house, where we were doing drum tracks last summer. It started coming together. And there are other people in the album. I'll just mention real quick. I used to write songs throughout the years by myself because the bands that played originals, they never stuck together that long. And so I was forced to do everything myself: drum machines, bass, guitar, keyboards, vocals. But on this album, it started expanding first with Larry, my drum friend. And then on this track, it was the beginning of bass players. There's 5 bass players, including myself, on the album. And this was the first one, Nikita Astrakanhantsev from Ukraine, who I found is a progressive player. He plays upright, fretless, 5-string orchestra, symphonies, jazz rock. And he was the first bass track that I did, which got me hooked on bass players. Previous to that, I was doing all synth bass. So Nikita, and then there is there's a synth player named Lola who I met through this process of finding 50 backup singers for that song. Because
I
what
was going
happened
to
is,
ask about that.
yeah, see what happened after I was originally when I was adding other musicians, there were 8 female singers, and I told you I sing low vocals, and then they sing the higher vocals, and I found 8 singers, assigned them to different songs. Incidentally, this "I Come From Earth" is the only song that I'm not sharing the lead vocals with a female or giving them on 2 songs. I sat out. even though I didn't want to. But they were so good, I just let them have the song. So all the female singers, after I was searching for all these people, the bass players, we have some percussion players. Then this album was coming together as this global project, piece some of the songs, the positive lyrics and everything. And I was enjoying the process of getting people on the album so much that I decided to get some international backup singers for this tune, I Come From Earth. And I started searching for musicians, and I ran into all these serious musicians around the world. They all have their own projects. And I got 21 backup singers, including the two main backup singers, Cece and Anna V, on this tune. Uh, 21 backup singers, and they're from every continent except Antarctica, which is under international treaty and has no permanent residence. And so they all knew what they were participating in, and they made statements about the project. And it was so interesting to meet these musicians who they're so passionate about their music. They're out there connecting with other musicians. They all have, man, most of them have projects. There were a couple of newbies who I just said, yes, come on and, be part of this. And it was really fun to see their reaction as well. So in the process of the 21 backup singers, incidentally, I ran into two people who became part of other songs. One, Lola Vicentini from Argentina, plays synthesizers and sings and so forth. She's playing synth now, the accents on I Come From Earth on the title track, and she's on two other tracks. It was a last minute that I found her through that process of finding the backup singers for this. And then I'll just mention another girl. I lived in Philippines off and on at times in my life, and between cruise ship contracts and for 2 years once. So I wanted to get someone to represent on these backup singers from the Philippines. And I found a girl, Sharu. She lives in Philippines, and she did her part. And then she is also a producer, really great, such a good musician. And so I had some English lyrics for a song called Powder Powder Butterfly, and that means butterfly in their language, Tagalog. They also speak English very well there. So, long story short, I asked her about writing a Tagalog version of this song, and we collaborated back and forth. We have two versions of the song, one in Tagalog and one in English, and they have the exact same melodies from our collaborations. And that was amazing. So she does almost everything on that and sings, and I sing, and I played real drums on that one to keep our dual drummers thing going that we have on almost every song. So when I Come From Earth, the people that were on it, Larry, my old bandmate, he's on 80% of the drum tracks on the album anyway, and uh, and then we have at least two drums and percussion on pretty much every song is part of our sound. And there's, in fact, I'll mention there's a song called No Stopping that Michael, we're talking about. That's going to be the next single probably. And it's a progressive song. And in the middle, there are dueling drum solos between my electronics and Larry's real drums. And he can play, man. I told him to cut loose on that song. And you'll hear on the album, he can really play drums. And so we have dual drummers going on most everything. And then this song was, like I said, part of the beginning of finding the other bass players who perhaps I'd love to mention all the people on the album besides myself, the singers. You can read about them on the descriptions of each song and so forth. Yeah, there's so many of them that and they do so much on their own. So, but I'll mention, like I said, when I was younger, I used to do all the parts myself, and out of necessity, and I never released music. I just love writing songs. That I've always, since I was young, I wrote, and then at one point I set a goal, 15 originals on my four track, then 30, 50, 70. Then I quit counting, and I just kept writing. And I did a few things, before the internet music business. And then now I just decided it's time to go on the internet, and put some music out. And someone recommended I put an album out rather than all the singles in a row, as but that way, I didn't want to have a YouTube channel with one song on it. So
Right.
so I got an album that, and but I just love writing songs, and I did it all by myself. So a couple of friends of mine have known me my entire life. They said, "This is really your album, man. These are your songs you produced, you arranged all these things and everything, and you're always pointing to the other people in the album and what a difference it made." And granted, okay, I that's true. However, they added so much to this project. And really, the thing is, I just like writing songs, and I've always enjoyed that. I'll share something with you, Bill. When you're a songwriter, and I'm going to say when you have a song that you wrote that has real meaning to you, and you finish that song, and you sit there and you listen to it like 20 times, and sometimes you're just in tears. And that process, to me, that's what I've always loved, is just writing and finishing a song. And now it's hard for me to even imagine people hearing the song, you know? And the album is really getting, and the songs are getting traction in all these places. It just amazes me right now. It's been out a month, and there are 12 songs in the album. There's a two-part song and there's a five-part suite. So there are really 17 total tunes on the album. And an interesting thing, if you Google Harmony Dreamers, all of these articles and reviews and YouTube videos and stuff are all coming up. They're at the top of the search on Google. And all of these reviews are really interesting. They actually have listened to my album, and each one of them, they pick out these different songs. This is the hit. They say this is the hit on the album here, this one, and then each one of them has a different
A
song.
different
So
one,
I
yeah.
agree. So I agree with all of them. And so anyway, that's the title track. I Come From Earth. It took a few years to come together. Yeah, and it's okay. So the lyrics of that song, let's talk about that just for a second. All
Okay.
right. So the song "I Come From Earth" is really about no borders on this earth, right? Because
And you
what
kind of followed through on that with all the different musicians.
Yeah, exactly. It really just started taking on a life of its own. All my life I've been dedicated to music, and then on this project, crazy things just, the dates and when it happened and the people I've been meeting and all these things, almost like it's out of my hands. Yeah, and so this project, or the I Come From Earth song, it's been getting a lot of traction in different places, and the lyrics though about no borders, essentially, it's just, where are you from? What country are you from? And when I travel sometimes and someone uses the word foreigner about me, I think to myself, wait a minute, I'm not a foreigner, man. I'm your brother. I'm your cousin. What foreigner? And it's just a word. I understand that. But and to do it with humor and from a real life experience, it just happened over a course of a few years. So that's the title track.
Okay. Well, let's take a moment and listen to I Come From Earth by Harmony Dreamers, and we'll be right back with Byron. Hey, so for those of you that are watching the video, you don't get to hear the song right now because YouTube and Facebook don't like to allow us to do that. So what will happen is we're recording this on Friday, September 30th, and it'll actually be released tomorrow. So you don't have to wait very long. It'll be on buildthescene.com right on the homepage. If you're finding this a little later in the game, in the menu, it'll say podcasts, and you can find where it says 3 questions in a song. I'm moving my finger where it is on the website. And
Yep.
and then it says episodes. You click on episodes and you can find it that way, or you can search Harmony Dreamers on the website and find it that way. Or it is all over the internet. And
True.
pretty much if they are known for podcasts, you can probably find my shows there.
Ah, excellent.
Um, and for those of you that only dig as deep as you have to, it is on Spotify, it is on Apple, it is on all of those major ones, but it's also on some little ones you probably haven't heard from.
Wow.
And since you did that, wow, I'll throw some numbers out at you real quick. So buildthescene.com gets about somewhere between 280 and 300,000 hits a month. And
Wow.
like I said, we're on many stations across the globe, and we also have been at this since 2004. So back in 2004, they were just starting to come up with the name podcast. So I've been at it since the beginning.
Well, I have a question for all of your listeners everywhere. Hey, where you come from? Earth, right? That's
That's
the line
right.
in the song. If they just heard the song, if they're not listening at this moment and they came in later, then hey, where you come from? And peace, everybody. All right, cool, man. You're everywhere. That's really exciting. The internet is so amazing now with the music
Oh, it
business.
is. I've talked to people from all over Scandinavia, all over Europe. Um,
I heard those guys.
I did an interview on Three Questions in a Song where I interviewed Vincenzo. Um, what's his last name? Grieco. Vincenzo Grieco. He's from Italy. He plays
Ah,
rock, and I did the intro in Italian. So
wow.
if you want to hear some bad Italian, track that episode down. They were very nice and told me I was good.
Wow, cool.
But yeah,
Yeah, I heard a guy, I think he was from Holland or somewhere that you were talking with. I can't, and he had all
oh
these strange letters on his pyramid. I can't remember his
yes,
name.
um, oh, my memory is shot.
Yeah, I understand.
I
Yeah,
know
well, look it
exact.
up on yeah,
I
look
know.
at the pyramid of letters. I don't know what
Yeah,
it's
I know
called.
exactly which
But he was
episode you're talking about.
very interesting
Yeah.
individual
Um.
from around the world. We got people from around the world listening, and yeah, the internet music business now is really amazing.
Well,
Um,
the internet is both good for the music business and bad.
okay, how's that now?
So it's good because people that normally wouldn't hear your stuff are getting to hear it. But because they're hearing it, your royalties are not very good because
Right.
like Spotify is a real low percentage and Apple is a real like they're all really low percentages. So
Hmm.
it's good because you're being heard, but it's bad because you're not making the kind of money you would have before the internet was involved.
Right, but it was harder then. I mean, just briefly, and to put out a record in the old days, there were four things you had to do, and that's recording, packaging, distribution, and advertising. So recording was generally more expensive back then because now you can do it on a computer. And then distribution, you had to print and package and ship and all these outlets, and you had to know somebody at the record stores. But now it's just an MP3 file. So that's
Yep.
recording, packaging, distribution, now easy, pick a distributor worldwide. The advertising part, see, that's where Michael comes in. That's still endless. And so, however, I see that as an advantage that where it was almost impossible to share your music before, now at least you can share it. And even if a few people really love it and it's not gangbusters, at least it's out there and people are hearing your stuff. I think that there's a thing I heard called standing on the shoulders of giants. And the way I see the internet music business is all of these people who are responsible and make it possible for me to share music. We have inventors, software, hardware, gear vendors, music lovers who are mentors on the internet, and people like you who are music lovers that have shows, people like Michael, music lovers who help promote. And so the standing on the shoulders of giants, I just think it's amazing now, this explosion of music. Although another, I don't know if you say disadvantage, but there's so many great music, so much coming out every day, and artists. But that's great, I think. There's more music available in different platforms. So um, I suppose you're gonna have to have a lot of streams though to make
Right.
a little bit of mailbox money. That's what we call it if you ever get royalties. Would
I,
be yeah.
I've seen a few royalties checks, and I feel bad because I hear so much great music doing what I do, and then I'm like,
Yeah.
that's all you're making, and that's you know, and I hate to say Lars was kind of right back when he went after Napster, but kind of was right.
It's a touchy subject. In a way, it's almost free promotion if you think about it. Like like talking with you, which is an amazing thing that we can do now over the internet. From far away, and then people can see, they can hear my music. And whereas before, how could they do that? Yeah, I had to get on the radio somehow or on
Hmm.
TV. You know, So now there are all these outlets, and there may not be a million people listening to the playlist that I get on or the place I go. However, if there's one and they love a certain song, man, that means a lot to me. Because when people like a song, when they like a band, I think it's a special kind of a like. It's not like pizza, which we'll probably talk about at some point. I think I heard your other shows, right? Yeah, but it's not like pizza. No matter how much you love pizza, I gotta say music's better. So when people love a song, when they love a band, it's a special love. And so if they love a song, it's a way to get it out there. And I don't know, man. So I guess we're talking about the music business on the internet, and standing on the shoulders of giants. Um, I think it's amazing. So can I segue and just tell you about it? There's a song on there called "The First Song" on the album, and it was written later, and it's just about finally putting music on the internet. And there's a line in it that says, "We need to make sure everything is working right," because someone recommended that to me. They said, "Well, before you put out an album, do a single or two and make sure the website and the promo and the social media and all that, right?" And so that song, the first song, is kind of just a joke, humor song about putting music out finally. And I think musicians could probably relate to that. But to me, more importantly, I just really am thankful. I appreciate all those people that were the inventors and the gear vendors and the mentors that I listened to on YouTube, and people like yourself and Michael, all of that group together. If it wasn't for that, if I wasn't standing on all of your shoulders, where would my music be right now? In
I,
my computer.
is you said something there that kind of hit me. When I first started in 2004, the first episode I used a computer microphone. The second episode we had a mixer and like two people from, I don't know, four or five different, two people each from four or five different bands show up. And then it turned into, when the bands were playing live, I had a mixer, I had a gate limiter, I had headphone amps. We had stools set up and microphones all around the room. And then I ended up with two mixers because I didn't have enough inputs. So I used
Channels.
another mixer as a line mixer. And now I do it with a USB microphone and a camera.
That's it.
Yep.
Yeah. A USB mic. Yeah. I've been going through this different mics. It's amazing the technology now
Well,
of what you can do.
this mic, I'll show it to you. It is actually XLR. Let me get better. XLR or USB.
Of course.
So
Great. Perfect option. Of course.
And it sounds better USB, which I did not expect.
Wow. Okay. It kind of makes sense in a way. All right.
But hey,
We'll
so
put it-
since you brought the pizza question up, I will ask it, and then I will ask you two more general easy questions, and I'll let you go for the evening.
All right.
Hey, so the pizza question came about because there's this band called Vase, which is spelled Vase, Vase, from Michigan, that were playing in Katanning, Pennsylvania, which is about, I don't know, 25 minutes from here. And I got a message from them on Facebook, and they're like, "Hey, I see you're near this venue. We're looking for somebody to take photos. Will you come and take photos?" And I was like, "Sure." Like, so the podcast has its advantages because people from out of state are now finding me. But so
Nice.
I go to take pictures, and they were excited because the venue bought them pizza from this pizza shop called Vocalists, which is like they're not a huge corporate company, but they are a corporate pizza shop. And I was
regional.
There
Yeah.
you go. And I was like, man, I'm like, there's all these great mom and pop shops around here. I was like, they could have got from Mel's. Coincidentally, Mel's is owned by the sister of the guitar player in the band of the guy who helped me host the first PA Rock show, which is one of those convoluted things. But
6 degrees of separation.
But anyway, so the question comes from that night, and it's just simply, what is the best pizza you've had because you're a musician? So whether you went to a venue to play and the owner bought you pizza, or you were on your way to a show or from a show, or you had pizza while you were recording. I mean, anything that you can use to link it to being a musician. But what is the best pizza you've had?
This is such an easy answer for me because one of my favorite dishes to cook now by myself. Now, do you make pizza?
Sometimes we do.
You do, but
Yeah.
not. But do you throw it up in the air like the pizza dough and catch it?
Okay, so I have not gone to that extent. However, I will tell you that I do the website for two pizza shops, and
Oh man,
one of them is my cousin's
more
pizza shop.
perks, more perks.
Yes, one of them is my cousin's pizza shop. It's called Dommy's. It's dommyspizza.com if anybody wants to look it
Uh,
up. And the other one is Route 66 barbecue and wood fired pizza. Um,
mm,
that one
ooh,
is just route66bbq.com. Um, both of them are phenomenal and not very far from
wow,
here.
wow. That pays to build those people's websites or need an update. Yeah, okay. My freezer's a little empty over here with the barbecue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do a website for a food truck, and there are lots of updates for food trucks because they're never in the same place. And that's what
Mm.
that one's turned into. Basically, he's like, "Hey, if you're near, come and get something." Okay.
Oh, wow.
So
Bring the family.
we do.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Perfect.
And I've known
Okay.
him. I've known him
Oh,
forever. His parents owned a small Italian store and butcher shop on the street I grew up in on. So I've known him.
is that in Pennsylvania?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's
Or Pittsburgh area?
yeah, it's in Vandergrift, Pennsylvania, which
Okay.
is if anyone who would know where that is really knows where they are in Pennsylvania.
Do you
But
know where Acme is?
I've heard of it, but I don't know where it
Okay.
is.
Oh, it's east. That's where my buddy's from. Okay. So, oh, well now, so you don't throw pizza crust up in the air. You
No.
just, but you bought like a frozen crust and you make it from scratch. You put
Oh,
your
we've
own
done that.
tomato sauce.
We've made the crust from scratch too. But
Okay.
usually like lately been buying the dough, and then you form it
Okay.
yourself. And
Yeah, yeah. Trader Joe's used to have it like in a bag for $1, a bag
yep.
of dough. And you don't have to throw it up in the air. So anyway, I played in, well, when I met Larry Draglin, the drummer and my old bandmate who's on most of the album, in 99 is when we met. And I had a house gig on the weekends at a place called the Rock Bottom Brewery in Bellevue, Washington, which is across the lake from Seattle, and it's actually the second largest city in Washington State, but it's a separate city, Bellevue. So right in downtown Bellevue, 99 during the .com boom, and in fact, we played at the Rock Bottom Blue for the Y2K party. We are waiting for the power to go out that night. But anyway, this Rock Bottom, they had a pizza there, which now I'm making on my own. So it's called Thai chicken peanut pizza. Okay, now you like you like the tomato sauce on your pizza, right? Forget that now. Okay, get your crust and you put sweet chili sauce. It's a Thai sauce, and it's got a little spice to it, but it's kind of sweet. It's like a red sauce. And so you put a thin layer of that on there instead of tomato sauce. Now it's called Thai chicken peanut pizza. So chicken, I like to cook it a little bit. I don't want to put raw chicken on a pizza, so I like to braise it a little bit, some chunks of chicken breast, and then peanuts. And then besides that, some red peppers, snow peas, lots of cheese, and then on top of the cheese, uh, sesame seeds. So it's spicy, and it's also better the next day after it comes out of the refrigerator. I don't know why, because as good as it is when it's fresh. And so Thai chicken peanut pizza from the Rock Bottom Brewery. I stole the recipe directly from them and have been making it ever since.
So two easiest questions of the night.
Okay.
Where can you be found online? And I'm guessing you're going to mention what has been below me during the whole interview.
Oh, yes, I see that now. Yes, if people remember the name Harmony Dreamers, it's everywhere now. No matter where you go, harmonydreamers.com. Yes, a website. And by the way, we have LP, vinyl, and CD available on there, and coffee mug and T-shirt and things, and really fun pictures of all those backup singers and all the female singers and everybody, the 15 musicians that played, 15 in addition that played besides myself. So the website's got some fun stuff on it, and free downloads of music there if you want it. Same at Bandcamp if you want it for free or you can pay. But otherwise, at Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Harmony Dreamers, and then all of the platforms, of course, 250 digital platforms worldwide now that is available on, and it's just simply Harmony Dreamers at Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, Pandora, everywhere. And it's been getting some great traction. Uh, I can't believe it. Michael Stover, it's definitely his doing. I mean, the progress that we've made in a month. I just discovered last night that Spotify had two of our songs on one of their playlists called Radio, and they just added seven more. For
Nice.
their algorithm, I didn't think it'd ever see us. It's like, hey, algorithm, we're over here, right? Somehow, it's been getting some traction here and there, and I don't know where. But it also, one last thing, yeah, if you Google Harmony Dreamers, you're going to come up with a lot of cool reviews, articles. Your podcast, I'm sure, will be within a day or two. It'll be right at the top of the Google search. And so you can find info that way. And yeah, Harmony Dreamers, that's all you really have to know. And tell your friends and your kids and their friends. I like kids.
Hey, last question.
Okay.
What's up next for Harmony Dreamers?
Mm. Well, for one thing, it's my turn. Excuse me. Okay. For one thing, now that the album is out and a bunch of bonus tracks, it'll be back to normal of one song at a time, as most people do these days. Just continue doing songs. There's even one song that Michael has submitted for a feature film that is not on the album, and one that is on the album that was submitted as well for the feature film thing. And those are very competitive. So, and also the 12 tracks on the album. We're just starting with the first one, and it's been doing so much. The title track. There's also a second version of that coming out October 7th. It's called the Nashville Jam, and it's the same title track, but a guy I hired from Nashville that plays lap, pedal dobro and pedal steel on that second version of that song. So that's coming out October 7th. One song at a time. And then all of the other tracks on the album, like I said, all these people have been saying, "Oh, this is the hit. That's the hit. This is the hit." So, Michael, we've already picked out the one song, "No Stopping," that we think we're going to promote next, probably. But any of those, it sort of depends if someone likes them. Like I see how many hits. The song "Summertime Memory" has been getting a lot of traction. It has a video on YouTube as well. It was the first single, but there was this big disaster in my promotion before I met Michael. I won't even go into it, but pretty much the first songs were just a test, and it was a good thing we did a test because something blew up, and you know,
Could you hear
was that
that?
you? Yeah, was that you or me?
That was a motorcycle driving behind me.
Oh, okay. I have airplanes flying over here, but yeah. So one song at a time. The song that's coming out, and then yeah, just more songs. But I'm trying to decide where to go next. I'm in Las Vegas now because I finished mastering the album here. And hey, can I throw in something else? Uh,
Yeah.
Take another minute. A lot of this bill was recorded on solar power in a travel trailer studio home during COVID. I say 80% of the album was recorded on solar power on my end, the mixing and my recording. And so I was just sort of following the sun and mostly in Arizona, Southern California. And then I came here to Las Vegas to master the album because the mastering engineer here, Lewis, the LP at the Hideout Studios. I met him, and he taught me some things about preparing tracks for him to master because he knew my Ableton software real well. And so that's why I came here to Las Vegas. Well, now that's finished, and I'm trying to decide what to do next because I've always been like a gypsy musician most all of my life, and I have some places I could go, but I'm considering going to Asia, Thailand, Philippines, and Cambodia, sort of a spiritual health retreat, and also documenting and doing interviews and videos and things from there as well, and maybe even music from there as well. So I think I'm going to travel, but right now I'm kind of this album was such a focus for a long time that I kind of got out of balance a little bit, and so I have a book called Balance Your Choices, and I'm out of balance, right? So, and it's on the website too, a little book that I wrote for personal reasons, just as a hobby, and so yeah, I'm gonna just sort of regroup now and decide what's next and relax, man. Take it a day at a time, one thing at a time. You know, a lot of priorities, a lot of things that I could do, but enjoy life. That's what I want to do mainly.
Cool.
Yeah,
Well, I want to thank you for hanging out on episode 86 with me.
I appreciate it very much. I love your show, and I'm going to tune
Thank
in and listen to some more episodes and check out your other stuff you do. I wish I was there. You could do some photo shoot for me, but Las
you.
Vegas is a long way away.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, you could come this way and then fly to Cambodia.
Well, I'll keep that in mind, but it's there's a lot of options, kind of a budget thing, and just then you have to store your things and all these preparations. So I'm just going to relax and take it slow, and I'm enjoying, right now. Like I said, if one person likes one song, that means so much to me, and so now really was staying away from social media and stuff a lot, but now I'm enjoying hearing just people's perspective about what song they like or something, or when somebody likes a song, man, that means so much to me. And I look forward to just hearing from music lovers like you out there that it's my favorite song or something, and that
I
to me is
that's
going to be fulfilling.
that's something like I started taking photos like 20 years ago of bands, but I didn't
Mhm.
really get good at it until about 3 years ago when I
Really?
got the proper equipment. I was using um, I was not using professional cameras. Um, so what I really love, and it's very similar to what you said, is
Hey, wait a sec. I'm going to turn my power back on. Let's see if we get a buzz again. Uh-oh.
like,
Sorry, I saw my battery saying, "Hey, hey, hey."
nope,
So,
we're good.
okay.
No buzz.
Okay, please continue. So,
So,
your
no,
photography, you got new equipment now?
well, it's new to me. It's older,
Uh,
but what I absolutely love is when I take photos of bands and they put them on their cover photo or their profile photos. So
oh
when a band
yeah.
takes, and it's similar to what you're saying. You're putting so much into that. Like when I'm taking a photo and then I sit, like, people don't realize, like, we go out and we take your photos, maybe we're there 2 hours, but then we
Right.
spend another 4 hours editing, and
Right.
picking and adjusting colors and just getting it just right. And then when a band takes the time to use that photo for something, that's when I'm like, oh, that is so awesome.
Oh yeah, I bet. Yeah, it's very artistic, a different branch of art, photography, like the album cover. Um, a friend of a friend, she did art just for personal anime type art on her computer. So, yeah, go ahead. And I had a design for the front and back. It's really clever on the back, but she made it happen. And so, yeah, those different artists, even dancers, I would love to incorporate some choreographed dancers in my videos sometime, art. And so photography, I wish you were out here. I need some good, I need some good promo pictures. It's so important. And that must be exciting though to see your art getting out there. Well,
Oh, and
and you're doing so much right now. can imagine your art's everywhere, and now you're hot. How many podcasts have you done now? 100 almost.
So this one is 86.
86.
And
Oh no!
and
Don't delete it, everybody. You know what 86 means in the
I do, but
military?
you shouldn't have said it.
You're out of here. 86.
Maybe I'll
Oh
make it.
no!
Maybe I'll change it
At least
to.
it's
I'll change it to 86.1.
okay. There you go. 86.
And then
Could have been worse.
yeah,
Could have been worse. We just got on this chart and we were number 69. I guess somebody had to do it. I don't know.
right.
Yeah, I got nothing else to say because it was called the Big Buzz chart. And I also don't even want to talk about the big buzz, whatever that means. I don't know. There's kids listening, man. Come on. But
There,
yeah,
there,
number
there's
16 on the Big Buzz chart. Now we got 86, episode 86. You're out of there.
so 86 on this one, 638 on the Pennsylvania Rock Show.
Oh my God.
Then there was another one called Throwdown, but we only did 4 episodes. We actually did 5, but Throwdown was me and the lead singer of 4 different bands. And when we did the 5th episode, we recorded like 4 hours, and it's only supposed to be an hour. And I was like, I'm not editing.
Wow.
This. And that was the end. And so that episode never aired.
So how long have we been talking here?
An hour and 22 minutes.
Wow.
Which is long.
Edit.
For this one.
Edit.
But,
and then
no.
The song's 3 hours. Okay, 3 hours and 33 minutes. Or wait a minute. 3 minutes and 33 seconds for the song added to that. Well, wow, that's really cool, man. Yeah.
But
it's been a lot of fun.
That's really like people ask me all the time, like, because I tell them, I'm like, I don't really I make money from the websites and I make money from EPKs and I make some money from photography, but I do not make any money off of the podcasts and the radio shows. And they're like, well, you could sell advertising. You could do. I'm like, I could, but then it's a job. And this is supposed to be my hobby.
That's true.
And
that's true.
So, I get to talk to so many cool people and learn about their music and introduce them to people that wouldn't have heard them. And, that's what I enjoy about it.
You know what? When sometimes I meet people and I ask them what kind of music they like, and then I'll ask them if they play music. And some people, they feel like, oh no, I don't know how to play. But to me, that's better because a music lover who just loves the music for the song and they're not analyzing it like, oh, I see what he did there. Oh yeah, it's the 3 chord with the reverse thing, but if you're just listening to it purely and just hearing music for music, and you know what? I'll throw in one more thing. I've met a lot of musicians who they feel like their opinion about music is God. Like that band sucks, or that's the best band in the world right there, man. Let me tell you. Well, guess what? It's all opinion. It's all subjective. Whatever you like, whatever music turns you on, that's good music. And if somebody else says it's bad, they don't know. That's just their opinion. You're a music lover. That's what I'm saying is. But the things that you're doing is because you're not just the average music lover, and I don't mean to downplay anybody else that's less of a music lover because everybody loves music, right? I think I keep asking people, do you like music? And I keep waiting for the one guy, get out of my yard. I hate music, but I haven't met that guy yet. Everybody loves it. But no, you are an avid music lover. The things you're doing.
I will tell you a story off the air, which you probably won't believe, but I like doing it. And, I have my own streaming radio station on Build the Scene, and then I have the podcast. I do. And,
wow.
I tell people all the time, if it's good, I'm going to play it. It doesn't mean that I have to like it. It doesn't have to be in a genre that I consider my favorite genre. If it's good music, I'm putting it on the rotation. So if you're out there and you're going, well, I hear Bill and most of his stuff is rock, or I hear some metal, that doesn't mean I'm not going to play your hip hop or your bagpipes. I have bagpipes, electronic bagpipes on the rotation. If it's good, electronic bagpipes.
No, I mean, I'm sorry. I'm
Oh,
just I'm joking. I'm joking.
you know, there's hip hop, there's rap, there's,
Sure.
you know, if it's good, I'm gonna play it, and like, it doesn't have to be something that to go, oh, that's my favorite stuff. You know, if I listen to it,
Right.
I'm like, there is definitely someone who likes this, and this is recorded well. It's going on rotation.
Nice.
So
Yeah,
if you're out
something
there and
for
you're listening,
everyone.
send some music. Right.
Something for everyone. It's all personal opinion.
That's right. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We are going to head off into the evening, and Byron and I are going to have a little bit more of a conversation. And those of you that are listening to this show, if you're listening on rootaroораdio.com, make sure you hang out there. You may hear some more music that you really enjoy, and you might find a new favorite musician. If you're listening to buildthescene.com, definitely stick around because everything that's played on my station is unsigned and independent. And you can find information about those artists right on buildthescene.com as well. With that said, this has been episode number 86 of 3 Questions and a Song. The next one will be on October 15th. If you're into checking out the Pennsylvania Rock Show, that's every Friday. And 3 Questions a Song. Friendly Fire, which is the live show I mentioned on XRP Radio. We don't have a set date for that, so you just have to keep your eyes open because it's hard to get 4 of us sitting down and on in the internet at the same time, mostly because I'm busy. With that said, we will catch you next episode.